enlightening session ahead as we welcome our keynote address titled Wisdoms and Narratives for the Next Bull Market, Crypto and Web3 Use Cases in 2025. This will be delivered by none other than Mr. Mende, co-founder of the Dubai Blockchain Center. Mic on? Yeah, just already.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you slept good and had a good morning coffee. So I'm very happy to present you the future, the next narratives, and the wisdoms which we've learned. So, about me, I'm Matthias Mende. I got very well presented before, thank you. So no need to talk too much. So, in the time when everyone is asking when the next bull run is happening, you should be asking why the next bull run is happening. So there are usually two reasons why the bull run is happening. One, it's the natural cycle. So it's happening like the natural cycle. So it's like if someone is pregnant, a lady, she takes 9 years to get a baby. 9 months, I'm so sorry. I made you laugh. One good effect. So in crypto, there's a cycle every 4 years. So in 2024, around May, there will be the next halving. And usually, after that time, the whole market starts to grow, and for some reason, when Bitcoin grows, everything grows. But also, it needs the right projects with the right narratives. So, when Bitcoin came out, we had the non-sovereign store of value, and then the next narrative was ICOs and Ethereum. Like with the capital formation, people start investing, things were hyping, and after that, the next narrative was like DeFi, NFTs, the first games, CryptoKitties, a lot of this stuff which didn't really work because the technology wasn't really that crazy advanced, it was not so scalable like today, not as easy, and so on. So the future use case or the future narrative will be killer application and decentralized application which actually make sense. So the recent cycle Web3 use cases, again, the digital collectibles, decentralized exchanges, DeFi use cases, stable coins, we had a few of them coming up, file storage, it also kind of works, but still it needs to become faster, and play to earn Web3 games, which ultimately also kind of failed because of not always so good tokenomics, and when the incentive is just money, I personally don't believe that things can actually be healthy and sustainable long time. One of the biggest issues which we have in this industry is that in crypto, people, they get an idea and then they start the user acquisition, the monetization, launching an ICO, doing a token raise, and then only after they raise the money, they start doing the proper research and the product design, and then where all the chaos happens and where usually a lot of money is wasted and the project ultimately often doesn't work out. And the traditional route, it's a little bit different. But since crypto always been a little bit of an unregulated environment, it was always easy to raise money, and well, that's where we are today. And then people are saying Ponzi's everywhere. But the thing is, a lot of the participants who participate in those projects, even on a later stage, they even know that it might be a Ponzi, but since the project might keep doing the good advertising and the marketing, more people just jump in and tokens go up till it breaks, and the last people, they might lose their money. So we'll be discussing quickly some use cases of the future. The previous presenter, he also was very technical about what's important and how the future will look like. So no need for me to talk much more about the smart wallets and the account abstraction, but this is actually the biggest narrative which will bring a lot of functionality because of the easy Web 2 user experience. Users, they don't really need to pay transaction and gas fees, so they really have a Web 2 experience, and that's extremely important. And also the social logins with like Web 3 out, or with Particle, or with Privy and all those things, because they don't need to store the seed phrase anymore, which is a big breaker also for good applications, because if new users come in because of certain reasons why they actually like the project, sometimes they lose their keys and then they get upset, and if they had some tokens, then suddenly things are bad. There are new use cases also, like regenerative finance, which is, in my opinion, it will take some time, but a lot of blockchains and projects, they're working on tokenizing of like carbon credits and CO2 and other natural kind of environmental resources. It's a little bit like ESG and stuff. And there are also blockchains which are very low in carbon emissions. Cello is a very strong one, and they're coming now to EVM. Yeah, and then there's also decentralized science. Decentralized science is very, very special in some ways. Like, for example, back in the day in Soviet Union, the students in the universities, they were very intelligent, and every time when they made projects and invented some new technologies, those type of wisdoms and results, they would be taken by the government and they just store it into archives, into some libraries which nobody can access. So those inventions, they never really come out. So this was in communism time, but now things changed. So with decentralized science, those type of inventions and know-hows, they will be simply stored on the blockchain. SocialFi, in my opinion, one of the biggest use cases. It will disrupt like how the whole economy for creators and communities will work, because a lot, I mean, down on the left side, on the right side, sorry, you see a lot of projects, but a lot of them are also failed. Some of them, they raised a lot of money, they started very well off, but again, to build a project, it's not just to have an idea, it's also everything else around, the staff, the team, the regulations. So some projects simply failed because of points of that. Gaming. Web3 gaming will be one of the biggest narratives, absolutely, because in games people have items and they somehow need to store them. But now the question is, why the big publishing studios and tier 1 game developers, like from World of Warcraft, Call of Duty and Fortnite, or even the Nintendo games, why they never go to Web3? Why they not apply blockchain yet? So the answer, in my opinion, is because it's simply too complicated. Users, they, as I explained before, if they have a complicated way to log in, if they have a hard time if they have a hard user experience, they cannot really be long-term sustainable, and perhaps they lose their keys, and then there will be chaos, and then they will even talk bad because of certain things, features which not even have anything to do with the game. Yeah, but the storage of items and right now with account abstraction and all this easiness, I believe in 1-2 years this whole landscape will totally change. Of course, metaverse and virtual reality, augmented reality was pretty much misused as a big buzzword because of Meta becoming Meta, and Facebook, Instagram, you know, drove Sandbox and all, not Sandbox, Decentraland and those kind of projects up a lot. But at the end of the day, also they didn't have users. So there's a lot of problems in this industry too, when it comes to rendering, and a lot of computing power is needed, which generates a lot of costs. Plus, the logins and the user experience, again, wasn't great enough. Zero knowledge proofs is another monster for itself. It's all about privacy, and it's very important that not everything on the blockchain is visible. So there's some type of encryption of the smart contract, and zero knowledge proofs a very strong narrative. And I'm very excited for Polygon 2.0. I think it will be like the endgame chain, one of them. Dynamic NFTs is the next generation of NFTs, and those type of NFTs, basically what they do, they are able to change their state. So you can imagine it like a glass of water, and you drink it and the glass is empty. So if you use those dynamic NFTs for vouchers, for tickets, for membership clubs where the NFTs can expire after 1 year, that's exactly the use case. And all those traditional programs, even loyalty programs, they will have a big future in dynamic NFTs. So I put the picture of an old TV, which has only the function to watch TV. And then we have the smart TV, where people can actually adjust what they like to watch, put timers. So the TV is a little bit like a computer. Real-world assets, another huge narrative, but there the regulations in the countries need to be totally figured out. So technically and practically, a car or a picture or even commodities, they could be on the blockchain, and that's actually planned, and that's a huge blockchain, huge use case for the future. And I believe also this will come in the next few years, and those mostly layer 1 blockchains who support or are focusing in this kind of field, they are already forming governmental partnerships, and this stuff is to come, and this might also change the entire landscape. So the most important narrative from all of them, beyond speculation, is actually the smart wallet and smart accounts, because I mentioned it now the third time. It gives the simple experience, and if we want to onboard the masses, it's all about user experience. User experience is the most important. Steve Jobs was always about a very smooth, simple user experience. So in the crypto field, we are still a little bit away from it, but if I look from 1 year or 2 years ago, we just got way ahead. Yeah, that's actually what I was saying. So, a lot of threats and risks to watch out if people look into projects. So it's very important, and that's some tips, that the buzzwords which I use are also realistically to achieve. Ponzinomics, tokenomics. So we saw that things like in Terra with UST backed to a stable coin, algorithmic stuff didn't work out, but it works good for a long time. And decentralization the question is if it's always necessary, and that's the question in gaming, because all the games work, like Fortnite, everything works. Things might store on databases, but they are very advanced databases, like Vercel, BigQuery. I don't think they are easy manipulatable, but still, we will have the good use cases in the future. But those people in those multi-billion-dollar enterprises, they're actually really thinking if it's necessary. Because the beautiful thing about decentralization, it's also ownership for the users who actually own the items, so they can carry them perhaps with them in the future, even if the game doesn't update or exist anymore. So, one more important question to ask ourselves: will this be the last bull run? Because the next bull run will probably be around 2028, 2029, 2030 if it happens, but before that technology will advance so much, perhaps we might go to a crazy inflation, perhaps the dollar will die, then when Bitcoin will be probably worth millions. And regulations are another problem, but also the quantum war. The quantum war, it's very science fiction, but if the quantum computing comes out, there's a chance. A lot of people say it's impossible because of the BIP39 algorithm and SHA-256, which has to do with the passphrases and the encryption. But perhaps the quantum computers, they can just open all the wallets at once, because they already know the seed phrases, because they're all existing. So this could be a risk for the entire industry. So, me being the founder also of a project called Bonuz and building it, since the last 2 years, been going through a lot of challenges, a lot of learnings, and a lot of great learnings actually we have because of conferences like this and people coming together, founders coming together and exchanging ideas and their failures and the everyday situations. So that is some big alphas, and if you guys want, please put your hands up. I will give you guys some questions if you like, and I'm happy to answer them. And if I answer them, it might become really technically, because I can really display every single part. I mean, we've been going really deep. We want to not take over the market, but we want to be one of the major players. And I personally believe that it's very, very important to operate slow and have the right mix of technologies combined together. So in Bonuz, which is a real-world gamification ecosystem, we actually have so many technologies combined. But then also the legal side is a bit complicated through the regulations. So sometimes certain use cases need to be divided on different companies with certain agreements fixing them together. We learned from companies like MetaMask, Trust Wallet, and so on, which even registered and running from the United States, which is actually the most complicated and risky country. But there are solutions, and it's important to mix the right technologies together and to simplify it down in a very, very easy way. So if someone has some questions, if there's a mic around, welcome to ask. If not, this is my Telegram. This is how you guys can find me on social media. All right, the time is up. Thank you very much. Enjoy a good Dubai blockchain week. And thanks ABC Conclave for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry.
So a big thank you there to Matthias Mende for an amazing keynote address. Insights into the future of crypto and Web3 are valuable, and we really appreciate your time and expertise in sharing your wisdom with us today. Now, ladies and